So, does La Plata Peak subscribe to the theory that cryptocurrencies are a store of value and are things to be treasured? Is it going to be the new world reserve currency, Bitcoin, for example? Currently over $28,000 per Bitcoin. Is that what we're all going to be spending? When we go to buy gas or milk or take vacations, are we going to be paid in Bitcoin? Are we going to be paying our taxes in Bitcoin? Um, those are questions that are yet to be answered. My opinion is probably not. Um, this what you're seeing here is the proof set of the Silver Shield line of the crypto series, and with one exception, and that is this Bitcoin Brilliant Uncirculated, and I did just because it's the 2 ounce variety of it, and I just like these 2 ounce rounds. I just think they're a good size. Can see a little bit more detail, the work, and things like that. But if you read what it says around here, and this is kind of my major hang up with Bitcoin, and what it's describing is, so if you want to run a Ponzi scheme, this is what you need to do. You need to take something that has no value. You need to build up the perceived value of that item or that commodity, whatever, what have you, and then you sell it for real value. So right now, U.S. dollars have real value. If I pay my taxes, I have to pay it in U.S. dollars. If I go to the grocery store, that's what they're going to take. So those dollars, theoretically today, they're people accept them as having value, but Bitcoin in itself has no actual value, and that's why I don't own any, and I probably never will. There's a couple other things of why I don't. You need to have the internet for it to work. Is the internet ever going to go away? Probably not, but if it did, you know, your Bitcoin is gone. There's, even electricity for that matter. If there's some kind of EMP event or, the electric grid goes down, there's a cyber attack from Russia, what have you, ain't getting your Bitcoin, unless you have electricity. So there's that aspect to it. But the main thing is kind of the reason why I don't, invest in cash, because I really see, Bitcoin as as dollars. Really there is no fundamental value to currency, and there is no fundamental value to cryptocurrency either. It's just digits that are out there. But what can't be denied is that other people perceive it to have value. So as of right now, it does. And if you speculated in Bitcoin, and back in a year and a half ago, if you bought Bitcoin at $3,000 an ounce or under $3,000 an ounce, and you sell it today, well, you've done exactly that. What it says on here, you've taken something with no value, the perceived value has been built up, and the greater fool, for less of a better term, has paid you a lot more value for your worthless Bitcoin. So it really just comes down to that. But there are some positives when it comes to cryptocurrency. Um, you know, and that doesn't necessarily mean that they're just, even though I don't see them as a store of value, they may be. I may be proven wrong, but these have only been around for a decade or so. So there really isn't enough time to have passed to know whether these are really going to be stores of value or not. Um, but they are what I would consider a short position on the U.S. dollar, and that's the real reason why we're seeing Bitcoin at over $28,000 per Bitcoin. It's a lack of faith, or a failing faith in the dollar as a world reserve currency, and I do think that within the next 5 years we're going to see major changes. Whether that's the Federal Reserve issuing its own coin with the Treasury, that is digital. Whether there is some kind of the IMF gets together and takes the SDR, which is essentially a basket of all the currencies, and just issues one world reserve currency that's issued by the IMF, either backed by nothing or backed by gold, or something along those lines. Any of those things are possible, but what is a mathematical certainty is the dollar cannot be sustained as we're going. With the coronavirus, the Fed has about doubled its balance sheet this year. So it's gone from carrying $3 trillion in U.S. Treasuries on its balance sheet as assets to now $7 trillion. as we're going into 2021. So it's not sustainable. This time next year it'll probably be over, between 10 and 12 trillion, maybe even as high as 14 trillion if it doubles again. And if it gets to that point, there's a lot of foreign countries that may start looking elsewhere to trade. So it's something to keep an eye on. But it all comes down to just kind of what I was talking about. What are these things actually worth? Um, you know, what they're made out of, what these rounds here, the silver in these rounds are, something that is always going to have use. Um, and when it comes to cryptocurrencies, yeah, Bitcoin is limited, but this symbol here is Bitcoin Cash, which is essentially a hard fork of Bitcoin. So is Bitcoin really limited to 21 million Bitcoin? If you can create as many forks as you want, and you can because the blockchain technology is open source, meaning that anybody can basically use it to create whatever cryptocurrency they want. And you know, is it likely that something else is going to come and overtake Bitcoin or Litecoin? As a more popular choice of cryptocurrency. Probably not on its own, but there's nothing to say that governments can't outlaw Bitcoin or the transaction, using it as legal tender. I see that as a possibility as well. So those are reasons why I don't buy it myself, but I think it is fascinating to watch. I do believe that it's going to become more prevalent in society. I think more and more people are going to be putting more money into Bitcoin, but you just kind of have to keep it in the back of your mind that if you choose to do that, and again, this is not financial advice at all. This is just my opinion. What are you really buying? You're essentially buying a promise or a hope that it's going to go up in value, but up in value compared to what? Because if right now Bitcoin is if it's priced in U.S. dollars and the dollar loses 50% of its value, yeah, your Bitcoin is going to go higher compared to U.S. dollars. But if the dollar goes to zero, what's Bitcoin priced in then? When there is nothing tangible to back it up. Gold and silver, there's always uses for those things. You can't even mine Bitcoin without gold and silver. The electronic hardware that's and the computers that are used to mine Bitcoin, won't work without gold and silver. So that's kind of a paradox in and of itself. So just kind of something to keep an eye on. Wondering what people's thoughts out there. I'm wondering if anybody watching this owns any Bitcoin or Litecoin or Ethereum, and what your thoughts on it are. I'm I'm putting my money into hard assets for the most part. Not all of it, but for the most part. And I am excited. There's going to be a 2-ounce version of this coming out probably in late January. It's already been ordered. But it's as it says here, this is the atomic number for silver and the atomic weight here with the periodic table AG. And silver is the world's oldest, most used, undervalued, decentralized, and anonymous currency. So I can transact in gold and silver just as I would in cash, and there's no way anybody can really tell where it comes. Where Bitcoin, or anything digital for that matter, it's everybody's going to be able to track that back to where it originated, and there's not going to be any anonymous transactions. Some may see that as a good thing. I kind of like having that privacy. That's my opinion. Some people may not share that opinion. They want to know exactly where the source of every single dollar came from, and that's something that can be debated. But I really think that people that are buying Bitcoin at $28,000 are, I could be wrong. Bitcoin could go to 100,000, 300,000, 500,000, but I think it's just as likely that, or even more likely that silver will come back to its actual value because it is needed. The iPhone that I'm taping this on, solar panels, any automobile, any computer, anything that's electronic at all is going to need this metal. and this metal is very rare, as is gold. But right now, there's just as much above ground gold as there is silver, and silver does have far more uses than gold. So I'm not bashing on cryptocurrency. I think if it's something that you choose to put your money in, I can't argue with it. I mean, especially when you see the price of Bitcoin today, it's kind of hard to say, it's a complete fallacy. But I think at the end of the day, there just isn't enough evidence um, that it is something that's going to be sustainable. And when you read stories about, the tulip mania in Holland, or the John Law back in 1703 with the Mississippi Venture, those are very similar stories to what we're seeing with Bitcoin right now, where you had something that really wasn't proven to have any value, but there was this mania about it, this fear of missing out, and people were willing to pay so much of real value for tulips, um, or for shares in the Mississippi Company, that John Law was trying to get up and running. And there's a lot of good YouTube videos on those topics that can explain those things a lot better than I can. But um, you know, do some research if you do choose to get into Bitcoin. Just kind of know that those are the risks. And when it comes to these, now, I mean, these particular rounds, I mean, our silver is currently trading at around $26 per ounce, but this ounce of silver right here, if I were to try to sell this on eBay, I could probably get around $250 or $300, just because these particular rounds by the Silver Shield they're limited. There's only a few hundred of each of these, and they only make these rounds for a week, and then they're done, and they don't make any more. This one here, this Bitcoin Cash, I want to say there's less than 300 of these in existence, and I may be able to get $300 or $400 for this. So I mean, realistically, for 11 ounces of silver, that's about $300 of the silver. But these particular rounds of silver, I could probably get close to $1,400 for just these 11 ounces, which is well over the spot price. So it's one reason that I do buy Silver Shield rounds. The value that you are going to pay a little bit more for them. I paid about $50 for each of these, but when you consider that they're selling for double that, and that they're encased in something that is always going to have some tangible, real value, this is kind of where I'm betting. So just if you don't agree, I'd love to hear your thoughts, your opinions. Doesn't mean we all have to agree on everything, but this is just kind of where I come from when it comes to the crypto space. But again, it is very interesting to watch, and I'm really interested to see where we go from 28,000. Would it shock me if Bitcoin is 35,000 this time next week? It wouldn't shock me a bit. Would it shock me if Bitcoin is back below 10,000 this time next week? Again, wouldn't shock me a bit. That volatility is going to probably exist until either one or two things happen, until Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies are accepted as a world reserve legal tender, or something is brought in to back them, or another one is invented that has some backing of a real tangible asset. Be that lumber, copper, gold, silver, as long as it's something that's real and needed. That's what I tend to think will happen. That we are going to have some kind of digital currency, but it will end up being backed by something, because there's really no limit to the amount of forks that can be done with cryptocurrencies, and that's essentially where we're at with fiat U.S. dollars right now. Um, so, but again, like I said, please let me know your thoughts. I hope you all are having a very good holiday season, and hope 2021 brings everybody a lot more joy than 2020 brought to most people. So stay safe, everybody. Talk to you soon. La Plata Peak, and we are out.